Hello everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to talk about is a retired model line. Uh, Jaeger-LeCoultre used to have this line of watches called the Geophysic. It wasn't very big, but the watches in it were really fabulous. And so I'm going to talk about those today. Now, this isn't the first time this has happened to me. It seems that whenever I find a sort of a series of watches I really like, they retire it. Patek Philippe has Gondolo line. I really like that a lot. They got rid of the Gondolo line. Rolex had their Prince. The great thing about the Prince was you could, well, a number of things, but you could flip it over on the back and you could see just this great shaped movement that Rolex had done. And they also had one of the few watches that the guilloche on the front was extended to the movement. Just really, very, very nice watches. They retired it though. They had it, they brought it back, I think, in around 2004 or so. Then they had it for a while, then they retired it. Here's another retired one. Now, for collectors, these are really some great watches you can find in the used market or the pre-owned market. So let's take a look at the two in the Geophysic. Now, the Geophysic goes back to the Geophysic year back in, sometime it was in the 1950s. And they had a Geophysic watch back then, and then they came back, I think it's around 2014 or sometime around then, and they brought, Jaeger-LeCoultre brought back the Geophysic, and there was a movement, there were two movements, the caliber 770 and the caliber 772. There were certain similarities, they were all very interesting. Now, the first one is called, that I'm going to talk about, is the Geophysic Universal Time. And this is a world timer, and it's a 40 hours, nothing spectacular about that, but it had what was called a gyro lab balance. And as you can see from the picture is that instead of having a full circle, it had these like twin anchors on either side of the hairspring in terms of the balance spring. And so that was one of the watches they had. Now, the other one, if you look at this watch, it's called the Geophysic True Second. And a true second is the jumping second. And I really like it. Now, a lot of people say, yeah, jumping second, that's what all the quartz watches do. They pop like that. But for a mechanical watch, it can be a very interesting complication. And on this particular watch, when you take a look inside, which you can flip it over and look at the back, the movement, the caliber 770, is really magnificent. You have the GeoLab balance. You have this thing called a whip. And you have a spring. You have really two separate wheel trains in this caliber. One for the regular movement for the hours and minutes and the date, and then another for the true seconds. And so you look at this. There's a lot of stuff for the second hand, and the second hand even has its own spring. And the spring, I think, is as much as a buffering, almost like a sort of a pillow almost so things don't, it doesn't keep jumping, but it absorbs extra amount of kick when the second hand jumps up with each time. Now, both of these watches, I mean, if somebody looks at especially at the true second, you just see something that, for your typical watch collector or your watch buyer, they say, what's so great about that? I can do that with my quartz. On the other hand, for people who love collecting watches, this is really a beautiful piece of horology inside of the true second. Again, this is something, both of these watches you can find on the pre-owned market. there aren't a lot of them, and they come in with different combinations, either with a bracelet or with a just a leather band. And also they come in gold or stainless steel. So they're out there. I saw one of the Universal Times ones, a UTC, for around 11,000. They seem to be in that area. In fact, I found one that was brand new for that, but it was down from 13,000, which really isn't bad for what you get. Something a collector might want to consider, and I would really like to hear any comments that you have about that, your thoughts, and if you own one, I'd like to hear any experiences you've had with them. This is an invitation to subscribe if you'd like. Until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.